All right. So yes, that's a confirmation from our team. So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are live here again, day two of movement again topic primarily. Hello. Something's crazy is happening. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
We hear you
Yeah.
now. We can hear you
All
now.
right.
Hesitated
Perfect.
for a minute.
All right. So that was a mic and video test. I'm gonna start over. All right, guys. So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today from wherever you are. This is day two of movement against counterfeits. Today we have with us Michelle, Diane, and Lamont, who will be sharing a lot of interesting facts about the e-commerce world, which is going crazy for last 2.5 years, thanks to COVID, thanks to the lockdown we are having, and thanks to the possibility of making work from home an easy peasy thing across the globe. I mean, when I say, of course, easy peasy, it doesn't mean in the actual sense. It of course has its challenges, but it has its benefits as well. So let's talk about. So that's the today's agenda, to understand the challenges of e-commerce businesses, why people prefer to buy online, why do not prefer to shop online as well? What are the challenges? What are the problems, the pitfalls, the benefits? We're going to be talking about all of this, and our viewers who are also e-commerce consumers or merchants or sellers, all of them can learn something definitely out of the esteemed panel which we put together today. So please join hands again to welcome Michelle, Diane, and Lamont on this topic. I'll quickly introduce all of you, and then we'll touch upon the session, why we have put together this topic, which is again and unique in its own sense. So let me just start with Diane. Diane is the inaugural executive director of North Carolina Central University Law School, and she also helps in Policy Center in Durham. She has been contributing to the brand protection domain for more than 12 years. So she has more than a decade years of experience in terms of brand protection, brand enforcement, and she her expertise lies around business entity formation and laws of different kind of brand protection across US. Next we have is Michelle. So Michelle is director of brand protection at Track Street. Michelle has more than 2 decades of experience in sales, brand management, distribution strategy, IP protection, policy enforcement, retail, and e-commerce as well. And she expertise in strategizing the e-commerce platform and their marketing positions. And she has already also worked in the past with vendor side from manufacturer team, and she sits on a lot of boards as well to understand the challenges of distribution, retail, and omnichannel sales. Michelle is focused in providing thought leadership and solutions to seller enforcement, pricing policy enforcement, and authorized 3P partnerships in the ever-changing world of e-commerce. And next, we have our fantastic gentleman, Lamont, who has, again, more than three decades of experience. So if you look at the panel, the experience numbers are going above by a decade directly. So that's the kind of panel which we have put together. So Lamont carries 35 years of experience as an IT management specialist, information technology management specialist. He's a computer genius. He focuses on creating industry disruptive product and solutions. Currently, he's been engaged with Innovi Health, who has which has put together almost 6-7.com health administrative companies, and he has been helping them to right from their idea stage to the go-to-market strategy and running those companies as well. These are all dynamic web-based products. which deals with the healthcare administration and alliance across different domains. He also serves on the university boards and different board of different companies over the years. So thanks again, all of you guys, to give us your important next 60 minutes, and happy to introduce all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the panel today.
You bet.
Thank you.
All right, so let's dive into the topic. I mean, the movement against counterfeits. Why did we choose such a topic which starts with movement? I mean, at the outlook of it, people would say, are we crazy? I mean, what kind of topic is this? Before even the chat began, I was talking to Diane, and I was trying to understand whether has she also been able to speak to similar forums like that. And she said, no, nobody ever asked that. And she never talked about this topic in her entire 12 years of career. The primary reason was business is evolving. Things are evolving. Due to COVID, we realized that we can do businesses from our home. People are able to put up website together in less than 2 days, right? With the help of hyper-local delivery platforms, people are also able to manage manufacturing, shipping, selling, and the drop shipping to the end consumer within a couple of days time frame, right? All of this has been possible because of unprecedented growth in the e-commerce space, right? And whenever this growth happens, certain challenges also emerge from the growth. One of those challenges, which I faced personally, was an issue of counterfeit. When I mean, 2 years ago, when I ordered something from Amazon.com, I mean, I vividly remember it was some sportswear brand, and it was a tracksuit or something. I ordered thinking it's a genuine product, but when I received the product, it turned out to be a fake one or a counterfeit one. Of course, I had my disappointment because I was requiring that thing to play before my match, and I could not wear that because it was of substandard quality. I ignored it for the first time, as everybody would, right? But then one of our client came to us, and she said that, you know what, a lot of people are undercutting my products in Canada, Japan, China, Korea, and whatever piece, the jewelry piece which I'm selling it at $35, people are selling it at $20, $10, which is of low quality. And my customers are writing bad reviews to my platform because they are thinking that these products are sold by me, which is not true. And then we started to again think about it, that, okay, it's not just my problem. Or as a consumer, it's not just consumer's problem. The same thing can also be a merchant's problem, the seller problem, the small or medium scale brand who's on the platform or on the marketplaces. Those guys are also having the same issues, right? That's why we put together a movement against all these counterfeits, so that neither a consumer nor a merchant nor a marketplace provider suffers from it. So that's a simple thought. Okay, all we have to do is discuss, deliberate, and let's come out with certain topics, certain points which we can put together and form a common platform, saying that, okay, these are the points which every seller must have, or some checks which a marketplace should have, so that we don't have the counterfeits. And that's the whole idea of this movement putting together. So I would like to have quick insights from Lamont about how do you look at this .com? Of course, in your time, it was .com bubble. Now it's more about Shopify's and Magentos and all the other platforms of the world who are helping people to put together a website in drag and drop fashion, right? Now, every housewife today is able to create a website. Even a school kid is able to create a website and start selling product using drop shipping. How do you look at this as a problem when we compare it to the counterfeit problem of big brands or small brands? What's your take on it?
Well, I think for me, I want to start by focusing on just what is relevant to what I'm battling right now is we sell content, a lot of content and premium content, and it on the internet is obviously so easy to copy, paste, and take things. I just thought I'd share some of the things we have done to help mitigate some of and reassure our third-party partners that their data is safe and protected with us. Some of these you may have seen in other implementations, but I want to share just a couple of these with you. So one of the things we have done, if we have over 1.3 or 1.5 million pages of content on our Find a Code product for medical billing. So a lot of it, we've got a lot of third-party vendor stuff we've integrated into all of that. The part that is content related, back in the olden days, people would send PDFs around, right? Well, how do I protect that content? One of the things we have done in our digital book product is we've built a system where we plug a PDF into it and it splits it all out into a whole bunch of HTML pages. So it looks like a PDF, acts like a PDF, but for someone to steal it, they'd have to take one page at a time out of a 700-page book. So you do things to try to obfuscate or make it harder for people to just steal. Watermarking is a great thing too, or hidden watermarking. So if someone ever did take it, you could always say, okay, this is where it originated from. You see that from a lot of the other digital ones out there. As relates to digital content, a lot of artists are looking at moving to NFTs. Even though it is centralized, they like the idea of knowing that their art is protected and safe. So that's an interesting movement I'm watching right now as we are looking at how do we protect content. So those are some things that first come to mind. Love to get some thoughts from the other panelists. Those are
yes, fantastic.
thoughts.
Yes, I mean, you also touched the point of NFT, which of course I would like to come back to you later on, and we'll discuss on this as well. Let's go to Michelle and understand how are these medium and small brands are battling with this counterfeit issue.
Sure. So I think it depends really on where the counterfeits are coming from and where people are buying them. Some of them are harder to detect. You know, Amazon has some different levers that you can pull within their brand registry, Project Zero, and transparency programs where you can help to protect your products through those programs. It requires registration. Obviously, some of them are paid. You have to buy QR codes to put on each of your products. And that way they're scanned in and then they're scanned out. And then Amazon's DCs make sure that those products that don't have those tags don't make it out to the end consumer. So that's one of the ways that Amazon's helping. However, it is a rather expensive program. One of the ways that we help, obviously, is to help our clients do test purchases to determine whether or not the products are authentic or whether they're counterfeits. And then once we determine whether they're authentic or counterfeits, it depends on the way that their legal counsel wants to handle it. We can do DMCA takedowns. We can obviously report them through the Amazon tools that are available there, or legal counsel takes over from there.
Interesting. So that's like a traditional approach, but what expertise you bring in is doing a test purchase to basically ascertain whether the sale is actually a genuine sale or it's a counterfeit or not. And then from there, the legal counsel takes it over. Fantastic. Exactly. Good take on it. Diane, so Michelle also mentioned about the fact that Amazon has put together some framework to ascertain whether it's a genuine product or not. And if it is not, then Amazon is going to take up the action and delist the fake products or the counterfeit listings and all of that as a support to the sellers on the platform, third-party sellers. So Diane, do you think that the similar mechanism can be easily adopted by other marketplaces as well, like Etsy, Alibaba, AliExpress of the world? Or do they have, or if you are aware of certain mechanisms at these different places, would you like to share some information of that? You got on mic yourself.
Well, sorry there. I think they certainly can be adopted by other platforms. I know Etsy has a platform, but from what I've understand about Etsy's platform, it's not the greatest and it's not the most, I guess, consumer or I guess business friendly to the consumer. But certainly I think Amazon is the big player in the field, so they're going to certainly have better resources and better procedures than some of the smaller games will. But certainly I think that what they're doing is a start. But I think that other players certainly can do more than what we're doing. I don't know much about Alibaba, but I know Etsy and eBay do have procedures for takedowns and things of that nature.
Mhm. So, and how open are they to accept the takedown request, which is coming from an individual merchant or a small merchant who has just sold lot, let's say less than 1,000 units? How does that affect in taking down
Well, certainly
the request of bigger counterfeits?
Well, certainly, if they're wanting to comply with the DMCA, they're going to need to, comply with that particular law. But the issue is that folks will put, counterfeits up there. They'll fill out the information to get taken down, and then it'll be taken down, and then a week later it'll be back up there, or 2 days later it'll be back up there. So that's the issue. Is it's like a constant thing. So the DMCA really isn't a all-inclusive great law for what we've got going on right now. It was kind of made for back, when Napster was a thing and when the internet was younger, and now that it's more mature and it's older, it's not really made for how people do business today.
Absolutely. I mean, the frameworks, the regulatory framework is not helping the individual sellers put together across the globe, because there's no common entity who's acting, right? So the small sellers or small and medium-sized marketplaces, or these someone who's just putting their own e-commerce shop, making something very unique, very niche, curated, and those guys are suffering, right? So how do we stop that thing? What kind of framework can we put together so that next time when you want to buy a protein powder, you don't have to worry about its quality or its authenticity, and the consumer can be rest assured that, okay, whatever I'm buying from internet is going to be safe, it's going to be clean, exactly the way one is expecting. Lamont, I want to come to you as well, because you deal with health products and you have a lot of expertise in the health industry as well. How much of the responsibility is on marketplace providers, according to you, when these counterfeit products goes, let's say health supplement or a health related counterfeit product goes to the end consumer? Who is responsible for all of this? What do you think?
Well, it's clearly we need a bigger whack-a-mole hammer, right, to deal with this. I think as a provider of my own content as well as my third-party content, if I show due diligence to those I'm partnering with, that I'm vested in their content, and as I stumble across people counterfeiting, share that with them and let them go track them down too, then they know that I'm on their side. Second of all, I found some of my best advocates to protect not only my brand on our sites, but all those we sell on our sites is our customers. They a lot of times will rat out and clue us into things that we just completely miss through our algorithms and tools. And so your best brand protection, first of all, is your employees and those you work with. Your next set is, are your customers loyal, and are they engaged? And if you can engage your customers in protecting not only your brand, but all those brands you sell, it's that one extra level of protection. And that's worked well for us.
Interesting. So you touched upon the point of that customers are also able to help you out in protecting the brand, right? Are you running some kind of an educational session for them where they are bit more educated about what to expect from a brand like yours, what kind of product, what kind of quality, what kind of content on a regular basis? Are you educating them somehow, or they just got matured over the period of time?
Yeah, we have webinars we run every week or two that talks about our products, how they can use them better, how they can be more efficient. So there's a closer tie to our customers. It's not just I bought a pair of shoes on this site and then I leave. There's a little more loyalty there, and I think anytime you can engender raving fans for your products, they become your part of your kingdom, or part of your club, part of your community. So I think that's important.
Interesting. So community building and educating your community continuously using different modes of channels like webinars and hosting live sessions with them and understanding their problem.
Podcasts, yeah.
Podcast, yes,
Any
absolutely.
information they need to help them. Maybe there's a new government regulation that's come down and you want to hurry and get that out to them. So it helps them be prepared against the auditor. They feel like you're on their team. So it's hard to monetize that, but it's real if your customers believe in your products.
So customers who actually believe in your product will make your brand prosper and fortune and bring laurels and fortune to the company as well. I completely agree with that. Michelle, next question. I have a very simple question to you. When we talk about doing a test purchases, right? How cumbersome or how easy is that is, and how much time it's going to take to put a hammer on the counterfeit listing, which is eating away the sales?
Sure. So I think one of the easiest ways to start to look for where there are problems is obviously to look at consumer reviews, because your customers are going to know whether or not the product that they've purchased lives up to the standards of the brand when they've purchased it in store. So if you have a loyal consumer base, obviously that's going to be a really easy way to help to identify where you need to start with your test purchases. And some of the challenges that we have, obviously, with Amazon in particular, is that they commingle inventory. And so unless it is fulfilled by merchant, sometimes you get that commingled inventory out of Amazon's distribution centers. And it's difficult to understand exactly which seller it's come from. And so we usually like to start with fulfilled by manufacturer or fulfilled by seller with test purchases, just because it's an easier way to track it. We also recommend that all of our clients that we work with make that request that the inventory within the Amazon DCs is not commingled, so that you have an easier way to track and figure out where exactly it's coming from. But we do test purchases all the time. We have them shipped somewhere. Obviously, there's some secret sauce to that, because some of the sellers have become pretty savvy, and if they see certain addresses or names as a ship to address, they cancel the order. And so we try to be really careful about how we conduct our test purchases to make sure that we receive the product at the end of the day.
That's interesting, Luca. Great. So you are basically using a brute force method, in short, and you're trying completely new addresses every time, so that the sellers do not get a hang of or basically keep on recognizing you, because they're gonna come out with one or the another fake every single goddamn day, because that's gonna be their business as well, right? And you are at the forefront to secure the interest of your customers, your clients, by doing this test purchases. Great.
And another way we look at it too is because we track pricing online. If we see something that is far below what an expected retail price is, that's usually also a red flag for us to make a test purchase. So
interesting. Do you also get in touch with authorized distributor partners or authorized resellers or sellers of that particular brand, so that there's no conflict?
We recommend that all of our manufacturers have a network of authorized distributors, and that they're explicitly labeled as authorized distributors, so that they know where things are headed downstream. And so that's one of the easiest ways. But the problem is that Amazon and other platforms, there's no like badge that says I'm an authorized reseller. So some of them have created some pretty creative names that use authorized reseller as the actual merchant name. And I think that's really confusing to consumers. And I think that's what the problem is. Like a large part of the problem is that the majority of people shopping on Amazon don't realize that everything that is shipped to their house is not shipped from Amazon, that it is a whole network of third-party sellers that are sourcing products for wherever they can, outlet stores, discount bins, sometimes from the dumpsters. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, is that no one knows where it's coming from, unless you have a tight authorized distributor network.
I completely agree with you, Michelle, on that front. I mean, again, putting together Lamont's view as well. When the consumers are buying anything from not just Amazon, but any marketplace for that matter, nobody knows where these products are coming from. And as a brand owner, if the brands or the marketplaces as well put together, if they take this ownership of, let's say, empowering their customers or educating their customers, as Lamont is doing for his brands, and, and multiple brands, of course, Lamont's side. So in the similar fashion, if all these brand owners as well as these marketplace owners, if they are able to put together some content, some easy to consume infographics which helps the consumer identify which is a genuine one, which is a fake one, how to be aware of those scamsters and not end up buying uh, fake product and end up crying after at the end of the day, or writing a bad review onto the genuine product or the genuine brands page, then that would really help the entire consumer community. So if Amazon, you guys are listening to us, please pay attention to this. There's a need from the consumers of yours, and let's act something and let's prepare and put together something which helps everybody, uh, into the ecosystem. Dian, I want to understand one thing from you. When we talk about buying things online, we by default refer Amazon, or we by default say let's Amazon it, let's go and shop something online, and generally it's Amazon. Do you think the counterfeit problem is more severe on rest of the platforms or on individual websites, or things where I mean laws like, I mean people like Amazon are still regulating some of the stuff? They have put together some SOPs to track things down, but in other marketplaces platforms, things are pretty much haphazard. So, and it's also relatively easy for small merchants to sell on other platforms as compared to Amazon. So in terms of your experience, where have you seen much of the counterfeits happening? Is it Amazon? Is it non-Amazon? What's the spread? Yeah.
So I've seen it on Amazon as well as places like Etsy. I think Etsy is probably really easy to do it on Etsy because it's mostly mom and pop small businesses that don't even have the capacity to sell on Amazon at this point. So Etsy, I think, is a big one where folks are doing counterfeits on right now. And Etsy's procedure for kind of takedowns is kind of, like I said, they don't really, it doesn't really seem to be small business or small mom and pop business focus. It's more about what's convenient for them. So certainly I think Etsy is where I've seen a lot of it. Of course, Amazon is always going to be a lot. And there used to be some on eBay, but I think eBay is not as prevalent as it used to be in the past. But certainly Amazon, I think because it's the big player in the field, it's where most people go and buy everything because it's convenient. You know, it gets to you quickly, but that's the larger one. Amazon certainly does help to some degree. What does what it can, but again, when you take it down and then you put it right back up, and I've even seen instances where folks are creating like websites that look like the product's website, but it's not. Like I was just for example, myself, I was online looking for a Coach bag from several months ago, and Coach has a website that's not Coach, but it looks like it is. So if you don't look carefully, you get spoofed into buying those goods, and it's not authentic Coach goods.
Absolutely. So imagine, let's say you end up buying that fake Coach bag. What would be your next action? What would have you done in that situation as an attorney yourself?
As a consumer,
I would probably don't as well as attorney.
As a consumer, I'd probably leave a bad review because I wouldn't know that I wouldn't understand that this was not Coach selling this bag. And then, at that point, I was a consumer, I'd probably just be, unfortunately, out of my money as a consumer. But someone like Coach could take legal remedies. They could ask for that website be taken down. But again, you take it down, they put it right back up there. So, and I think Coach has kind of gone through this with this company, these people that are doing this, but I've seen it up there lots of times, a site that looks like Coach and the products look like Coach, but it's just a little bit different. You're like, I'm not quite sure if that's the same kind of quality website that Coach would make. But certainly that's the issue, is that you can, like you were saying before, you can create a website in 2 days, take it down, and it's back up in 2 days. So that's the issue, is that businesses have to be really diligent in monitoring their stuff online, have their employees make sure they're monitoring online, have procedures in place to make sure that there's monitoring guideposts so you know what's going on, so you don't end up diluting your trademarks, your copyrights, things of that nature.
Interesting. So we have at Photon, we have put together 4-step process to take down any counterfeit listings. What we do first is we monitor the entire web, be it dark web, be it the telegrams of the world, be it any kind of social media. We are able to track it down and identify who is using your our clients' brand name, the copyrights, the images, the products, the product catalog onto any kind of web platform. Once we monitor this, then we detect what is the level of infringement. Is it like a rip-off? Is it undercutting the sales? Is it unauthorized reseller who's selling the products? Is it copyright infringement, or just somebody's misrepresenting the entire website, right? The one you came across for Coach. So that's our second step. We are detecting what kind of these listings are, and the third step is we then enforce and take down all of these websites, be directly reaching out to the marketplaces, be it reaching out to the domain name registrar to shut down the domains entirely, or even to the payment gateway solution providers, because they also have an interparty liability if they are doing this sale, or they're facilitating the sale of a counterfeit good. So that's like a and then again, we are keeping this on a check on a monthly basis, so that if somebody gets the website up again, we again track it down and put it to the bin. So that's like a 4-step process: monitoring, detecting, enforcing, and then keep on updating all the websites again and again on a regular basis, is what we are doing in order to help all of our e-commerce clients, or anybody who's basically putting a brand online, right? These days, you have very sensitive data as well. I mean, the data is the king. Data is new oil, is what everybody's saying. Especially health data, it's again super critical. And if that data is leaked out, or I mean, there's there a website which says, okay, fill up some information, and you get some much more information. You click your couple of applications from your iWatch to that website, and boom, all of your data is gone. That's like a misrepresentation of a data, or like a phishing kind of an attack. Uh, so we are even able to identify such things by using this intelligent counterfeit system. So that's what we have been doing to help out all of our folks. And of course, we want to make this as a massive movement, so that nobody on the internet dares to sell these counterfeits to any consumer in the world. The consumer should be at the center. I mean, this e-commerce, all we are doing. Lamont is putting this content, beautiful content online every single day. Diane and Michelle are helping these brands and the consumers to be aware on what is genuine, what is not. Now, if we have a, let's say, common framework where everybody is coming together, forming some policy, then wouldn't it really help the entire e-commerce industry and the consumers who are the driving force of this, if I can put that way? Lamont, what do you think?
Sorry, I was just thinking about what all the different ways of protecting content. This may be a little off from what you're looking for, but we've developed a task force inside our company, just with our support staff, where our content providers expect to be paid for every user using the content. So now I'm talking about digital content here. And so what we've instrumented in our system is, if person A logs in, if person B logs in from that same company, then it boots off A. And so
Okay.
we have these reports that run. And so if it shows that a customer's logged in 1,000 times in a day, I can safely assume that more than one person is using that content, right? So the way we then contact the company and say, well, how many users do you really have? Our reports show X, and then it helps good people be honest with how they're using the product. And that allows me to, one, make more money, because I'm actually being protected by my software to tell me when people are using the system. And I also help my third-party vendors make more money, because now they're having the appropriate amount of users be added. So by just doing that one simple thing, we increased the revenue by a good amount last year, just by helping good people be honest. So that's what came to my mind as you were talking. But I thought that's a relevant. If you're into digital content, have some sort of system in place to monitor what the users are doing and what their actions are, and how many logins a day is a good way to tell.
Basically, tracking how they're consuming your content.
Yes.
Okay.
And
That
yeah.
that gives you an intelligence on how they're behaving. Are they honest? Are they dishonest? How much time they're spending on consuming a particular content? Are they literate enough to understand uh, what is genuine, what is not? All of those can be done once you do the data analytics at the back end.
Yeah, well, yeah. What's a normal user behavior, and when it falls outside that bell curve, then take appropriate action. And you don't have to be mean about it. Just help them be honest and know that you caught them and tell them tell them to pay up. Start
So,
paying.
Lamont, have you been at the receiving end where you consume some content or you shop something online and it turned out to be counterfeit?
Not with digital content, I think, because if I know what content I'm looking for, I go to who I know is the owner of that content, whether it's a CXO or whatever, and I start top down. Just like you deal if you got a scam call saying from a bank saying, okay, you need to send us all your personal information. Okay, let me start by going online and make sure I'm really calling the bank and say, did you call me? They either did or they didn't, but don't interact with that push.
Okay.
Same thing. So do your due diligence, find out where the data really comes from, and then make the deal with the real provider of the data.
Interesting. Michelle, when you talk to your clients or your prospective clients and people say, oh no, we are a small mom and pop shop, nobody would bother copying us. How do you approach them and what do you say to them?
There are always people looking to copy. I mean, it doesn't matter. You put out a good widget and somebody wants to copy that good widget and take your money. So, I think it's important, copyrights and trademarks are so important for anyone, regardless of size of the company, because your brand equity is literally everything for you. Your consumers rely on it. That equity that you build within your products is so important to the company and to the end consumer. So it doesn't matter how big or how small you are, protecting your brand is the utmost important, especially in today's digital age where you can have things on your doorstep in 2 hours. You need to know where it's coming from. You need to know that it's authentic.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, brand equity is very important when it comes to intellectual property. I mean, your IP decides how big a brand you can make because the customers start trusting the brand. If they see the same brand again and again, which is producing good quality products, good quality services, they would associate trust in that brand. And that's what the scamsters, the fakes would love to encash on. They don't want to try on a brand which is not so famous in the consumer, right? I mean, there's no sense or no business benefit in this. That's good. So, Diane, when these when customers come to you, when the e-commerce companies come to you and they say that, okay, I have a brand online, I'm running a wonderful show, a wonderful business online. How do you advise them in reviewing their counterfeit activities online? Do you have any kind of audit mechanism through which you help them, or what is your advice when they come to you and they say somebody is eating away my revenue, somebody is eating away my sales, and I don't know how to stop it?
Well, first I would ask them, have you, I guess it depends upon whether they're looking to do a copyright or it's a trademark issue. If it's a copyright issue, your remedies are going to be a little bit different. We can certainly file cease and desist. If it's a copyright issue, and a DMCA takedowns also work sometimes for copyright issues. If they're using your logo, something like that. But certainly I would ask them what's being infringed first. And as far as the copyright goes, you certainly need to have your copyright registered to, enforce that part, or it's very helpful if you do. For your trademark, your copyright is not, you don't necessarily have to have that registered. But certainly I would ask them kind of what are your products, what are you doing, what do you have in place in your business to stop this? Do you have what are your employees are going to be your first line of defense. So what are your employees doing? I think Lamont mentioned he's got it sounds like his business has a really sophisticated, process for finding these things. So certainly something, if you can't afford something like that, you're going to need to hire an attorney or do, searches for your business or your brand online to make sure that it's not being infringed upon, because certainly you can lose profits, you lose brand reputation, you lose your brand gets diluted. It makes you look bad in the e-commerce sector as a seller. So certainly you have to be very, very mindful of what your brand is, and you can't just put it up online and just leave it. You have to be mindful and monitor it and see what's going on, because again, this is your livelihood, this is your company, this is your brand. You need to make sure you're mindful of those things. So that's the biggest thing, is that just don't set it and forget it. And oftentimes folks don't know that they've got issues until they start getting the bad reviews, until they start getting the complaints. So certainly you need to be very, very mindful of what's going on with that. And then try to fix anything you can. If you get something that a customer complaint, even if you didn't sell that particular product, try to fix it if you can. Try to provide some sort of goodwill to that customer, a discount, something to that effect, just to kind of make it better. Even though you weren't the party that was selling them the product, they're looking at you like this is your fault.
Yes, absolutely. Because the consumers have no idea who they are buying from, right? That's what we discussed, and Michelle touched upon it as well. Lamont, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I was going to say Diane's right. The important thing is not to say, I did all these things. Oh, it's done now. It's never done. It needs to be a checklist item, just like she said, where it's you swing by, whether it's weekly or monthly. It needs to be a constant, vigilant effort to protect your brand.
Fantastic. So have a checklist, make it a constant effort in reviewing your digital footprints, be it digital content, be it your brand reach, be it number of consumers you are having. Look at the kind of reviews you are getting. Are they poor, bad, or ugly? And then accordingly identify who is selling stuff to the ugly, to the people who are writing ugly reviews, and put together an enforcement work if at all these numbers start to increase, so that people like Michelle and I come in place and help the brands in distress to get them back to their revenues. Anything else, Michelle, you would like to add to this checklist? We already have 4 points here.
Watch your prices. Watch your online prices. The prices
Watch your
online,
prices.
yeah.
Yes,
High or low, that's usually an indicator.
absolutely. High. I don't know why would somebody else who's putting a knockoff is going to put a high price, but low for sure. But yeah, would love to know about a high price mechanism as well. Have you ever came across such thing?
During the pandemic, we did, especially back in 2020. There was some price gouging on some items that we identified. So if it's really high or really low, if it's a total outlier, it's something to take a look at.
All right, so we've got a 5-point checklist for every e-commerce business who can just use it and make sure that nobody else is copying their digital content or their products or the services online and misrepresenting their brands in front of the customers and eating away the profits. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any final remarks, go over. This is your time. If you have any questions you want to ask to fellow panelists or to me, please go ahead and shoot it.
I would just say that just as a business owners, I think this kind of been Michelle's echoed this. Make sure you register your intellectual property, whether it's your copyrights or your trademarks, all those things. Make sure that they're registered, in the United States, or if you're doing business worldwide, register especially your trademarks worldwide. I think that's really, really important. I think that's something that especially small businesses neglect to do oftentimes, and then you've got someone that's using your name or likeness or logo or whatever may have you, and you've got an issue. So certainly protect and register your intellectual property rights and enforce them too. And that goes with watching to see what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, and at least get started at least with the TMs. Get those in place so you can work towards the R.
Yes. Yes.
Be
Absolutely.
diligent. Don't give up. You got to stay with it.
Right.
Be diligent. Don't give up. Get the trademark registration underway. At least start the process, because that's going to help us. The TM basically puts an advertisement out to the world saying that you own this particular brand and this brand is going to take off very soon. So the consumers can start following you, your community can start following you. And that's how basically you build a brand. You don't build a brand just by having hundreds of thousands of employees, but you actually need to have hundreds and thousands of loyal customers who are educated on a regular basis, who are aware of what to expect from a brand in terms of the content, in terms of the deliverables, in terms of what kind of and from the loyal brand which they have been following for a long time now. This is this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Diane, Michelle, and Lamont, to put together your thoughts. These thoughts are really encouraging for the entire e-commerce ecosystem, which includes the consumer at the center, brand merchants, sellers, and these marketplace owners as also the equal party with equal ownership, so that the consumers, who is the center of this entire ecosystem, does not get suffered. And that's the whole reason why we put together a panel like this, where we are talking about move to start a movement against counterfeits, against all the issues which are coming across in this e-commerce industry, because it's only going to take 2 days of effort to put together a website which is exactly similar to your brand. Now it's up to you whether you want to regularly, diligently identify, monitor such counterfeits and stop the revenue leakages from your balance sheets, or you just want to be sit tight, relax, and not act anything. The three panelists here today, which we put together, all of them emphasize that you gotta be vigilant, you gotta do due diligence every week, or make it a process. Put together a guy or hire somebody to do that, because it's important. If you are not able to clean the internet yourself, then somebody would just come and clutter it, and all the blame would go to you. Your consumer's gonna write poor and ugly review if you are not able to kick off, kick the counterfeits out of the ecosystem, right? So that's pretty much to sum up. Thank you so much, guys, for coming over, and it was a fantastic show. And thanks to all the audience who have joined us from different parts of the world. This has been a fantastic session. All of you can consume the same sessions offline as well. After this show, this the recording is going to be put up on YouTube, on LinkedIn, in different shorts, small bites of our discussion. And if any questions, if anybody has, please reach out to www.photonlegal.com, and I would be happy to answer all of these questions. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for
Have a
having me.
wonderful
Thank
day.
you for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Cheers.